Welcome to the video on data collection using the Transportation Impact Analysis, or TIA, Guidance Manual by the Missouri Department of Transportation. This video corresponds with the MoDOT Engineering Policy Guide 905.3.3. This module will answer the following guiding questions about traffic data collection. Why should you collect count data? When should you gather count data? What count data should you collect? This video consists of 6 sections. They are data collection, understanding the needs of the project, determining if or when to best collect data, assessing what type of data is needed, data collection plan and checklist, and key takeaways and additional resources. Let's begin with an overview of data collection. MoDOT has established traffic data collection guidelines, which are outlined in the EPG 905.3.3. This is a screenshot of the online interactive AADT map that MoDOT maintains and updates every year. You can access the map by following the web link listed on the slide. Understanding that every project is unique, there are a lot of factors that go into what data should be collected. Therefore, it is important to work with the MoDOT project team to develop a data collection plan. For transportation projects, it is important to work with MoDOT to determine how to best analyze existing traffic data and determine if additional counts will be needed to meet project needs. If the analyst has any data concerns, please contact the MoDOT TMS unit at 573-526-8055. Now that you have received an overview on data collection, the next step is to understand the needs of the project. To begin understanding the project, it is important to think about the transportation project's goals. Be sure to identify performance measures for the project and determine the measures of effectiveness, or MOEs, to be used during the study. Developing an understanding of the data needs for the project takes place during project scoping. Analysts should coordinate with MoDOT to determine the data to be collected. The MOEs to be used during the study should help inform the needs of the project. These are some examples of MOEs that can be used. When trying to understand the needs of the project, it is helpful to review general questions to consider when determining project data needs. Consider these questions. Do we need intersection turning movement data? Is peak hour and/or daily data needed? What additional data, such as queue lengths, vehicle speeds, and travel time, will be necessary to address project-specific MOEs? Will other studies require traffic data, such as noise or air quality studies? During this step, it is also important to review the project's study limits to determine if the study limits are sufficient or if data should be collected at additional or adjacent intersections. Once you understand the needs of the project, you can determine if and when to best collect data. The first question you will ask is, do I need new traffic data? MoDOT's official AADT data should be the first source to refer to when determining data needs. However, watch for instances where turning movement counts or other data sources, such as 15-minute volume bins and vehicle speeds, will be needed in addition to existing AADT data. Regardless of the precise age of the pre-existing count information, it is important to determine the transportation project's unique data needs. General questions to determine if new count data is needed are: is there pre-existing count data that has been collected within the last 3 years that is reflective of the present-day traffic patterns for the area? If the answer to this question is yes, then it is likely okay to use this data for the project. Age limits for the relevancy of traffic counts are context sensitive to the regional characteristics, whether they be urban, rural, or suburban, and recent growth patterns of the area. For example, if there have been recent developments that would influence traffic volumes, then new traffic count data is likely needed. Have there been recent changes to the general area's transportation network? If the answer to this question is yes, then new traffic data is likely needed. Have there been recent land use changes or new developments completed in the area? If the answer to this question is yes, then new traffic data is likely needed. Analysts should coordinate with MoDOT in determining data collection needs. Once you have determined if traffic data needs to be collected, it's time to determine when it's best to collect the data. For most traffic studies, it is important for traffic counts to reflect normal weekday and/or peak hour traffic conditions. The FHWA Traffic Monitoring Guide advises that traffic counts should not be collected on Fridays, for example, since they tend to have lower morning volumes and slightly higher afternoon volumes than other weekdays. Although traffic volumes on Mondays can be fairly similar to typical weekdays, some locations influenced by rural, recreational areas can experience patterns similar to Fridays. Therefore, it is recommended to avoid collecting traffic count data on Mondays and Fridays altogether and only collect data from Tuesday to Thursday. Exceptions include unique studies where special events and/or recreational trips are a concern. Even then, it is advised to provide this special event or recreational trip data as a supplement to typical Tuesday to Thursday count data. Determining when not to collect data can provide more accurate information. In general, MoDOT recommends the following traffic count rules for when not to collect data. Information on when to avoid collecting is split into 3 categories: regular occurrences, including off-peak seasons and when public school is not in session; occasional occurrences, such as during construction and traffic incidents; and events, including holidays and special events. Once you've determined which type of data the project needs, it's time to collect the data. There are 5 types of typical traffic data used for projects. They are turning movement counts, roadway segment counts, origin-destination data, data needs for various software tools, and the determination of vehicle classifications that will be used for traffic and safety analysis. Other data may be needed for traffic and safety analysis, but the count data presented in this video has specific MoDOT requirements. Other data collected should follow standard industry practices. Turning movement counts are typically needed if the intersecting road carries at least 400 vehicles per day, or the intersection has turning movement count data older than 3 years. Also, ensure that the recently collected count includes all appropriate data needed for the project. When collecting intersection turning movement counts, it is recommended to do the following. Provide generalized personal vehicle and heavy truck classifications. Collecting heavy trucks in MoDOT standardized categories is preferred. Collect the data in 15-minute intervals. If trying to estimate peak hour traffic volumes only, then collect at least 2 hours in each peak period. For example, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. will typically cover the peak hours. To assist in determining the appropriate 2-hour peak period to count, MoDOT recommends referencing available nearby daily counts for approximate peak hours. Strongly consider a minimum 12-hour turning movement count from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. if trying to estimate 24-hour traffic volumes, if the traffic peak may occur during midday and/or if a signal warrant analysis is anticipated. For a transportation project that includes roadway segments, review existing MoDOT AADT data to determine what recent data is available. Roadway segment counts are recommended if it supplements the turning movement counts with project-specific roadway segment counts. These segment counts should be at strategically important locations to capture key traffic patterns and assess the influence of nearby traffic generators. There is a gap in recent, relevant, historic AADT on the roadway. Typically, it is advised to use traffic data that is no older than 3 years old. The only available historic AADT data on MoDOT's interactive AADT map are volume estimates that are not based on actual count data. Confirm with the MoDOT TMS unit if there are any questions about the data source. When collecting roadway segment counts, it is recommended to do the following. Provide generalized personal vehicle and heavy truck classifications. Collecting heavy trucks in MoDOT standardized categories is preferred. Collect the data in 1-hour intervals at a minimum. 15 minutes is preferred. Collect the data for a minimum contiguous 24 to 48-hour period, or 1 to 2 weeks if daily variation throughout the week is desired. Collect bidirectional data by logging counts separately for each direction of travel. Origin-destination data is appropriate for some projects to be used for loading traffic demand data into a microsimulation model. OD data is summarized in a matrix table that displays the number of trips or traffic demand traveling from each origin to each destination in the study area. In the table, origins are listed in the rows and destinations are listed in the columns. Due to the additional cost constraints of collecting the data through typical OD collection methods such as Bluetooth wireless readers, aerial observation, and third-party probe data providers, it is recommended that the analyst discuss the appropriateness of OD data collection with MoDOT before proceeding. OD data is especially useful for complex corridors where traffic patterns affect operations such as closely spaced intersections and certain freeway weaving segments. For transportation projects that utilize software tool analysis, it is important to understand analysis-specific data needs and input parameters that can often vary based on different analysis tools, including HCS, SIDRA, Synchro or SimTraffic, VISM, and HSM. The table shown provides information about the traffic and roadway input parameters for each analysis tool. Data input needs will vary by project since certain inputs may not be needed when they do not influence the measure of effectiveness needed for the project. For example, when using HCS for analysis, information such as speed and speed limit are needed as inputs. HSM is used to represent all HSM-based tools because all HSM-based tools use similar data inputs. Red check marks are used to distinguish safety tools from operations analysis tools. Much of this data can be gathered through traffic counts, site visit observations, viewing aerial imagery, and traffic signal timing plans. The FHWA Traffic Monitoring Guide classifies all vehicles into 13 distinctly different categories, as displayed in the graphic. For the purposes of a traffic study, a heavy truck percentage provides the ratio of heavy trucks to overall vehicles on a roadway segment. MoDOT typically classifies vehicle proportions into the following 6 classifications for data collection purposes. Motorcycles, Class 1. Passenger cars, Class 2. Panel trucks, such as 2-axle or 4-tire single-unit vehicles, Class 3. Buses, Class 4. Single-unit trucks, Classes 5, 6, and 7. Combination semi-trailers, Classes 8 through 13. Some departments within MoDOT group these categories differently for their purposes. For example, the Planning Department often combines the vehicles into 3 category bins: passenger car, single-unit trucks, and multi-unit trucks when collecting segment volumes with radar. Refer to the TIA training videos on project needs, forecasting and volume development, and the individual traffic analysis tools for further information on how these categories should be grouped for each type of analysis. You are now ready to establish a data collection plan utilizing the checklist provided in the manual. MoDOT has a data collection plan and checklist that supplements Article 905.3.3.5 of the Engineering Policy Guide. It is provided to coordinate data collection efforts for all MoDOT TIAs, traffic forecasts, capacity analyses, and other applicable projects. The data collection plan documents what, when, and how data will be collected. If you would like a copy of the data collection plan and checklist, please reach out to the Central Office Highway Safety and Traffic Division or reference Article 905.3.3 of the EPG. The document includes 3 checklists. The first checklist is for general traffic count conditions that are applicable to both turning movement counts and roadway segment counts. For example, it verifies the collection of data on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, and indicates if traditional public school is in session on the day or days of data collection. Checklist 2 applies to traffic count conditions that are specific to both turning movement counts and roadway segment counts. For example, the checklist considers counts for pedestrians and bicyclists, and the collection of data in intervals that are no longer than 60-minute durations. 15-minute intervals are preferred. Checklist 3 applies to supplemental data that is needed to inform traffic capacity analysis performance measures and measures of effectiveness and is to be requested in addition to traffic volumes. A data collection summary table and accompanying figure showing all traffic count locations should be included with the data collection plan and checklist. The table should summarize the locations, timeframes, and types of all data to be collected. The map should include all traffic count locations with clear symbology to distinguish the types of counts on the map. Road segment conditions included but not limited to queue measurements or estimates and signal phasing and timing plans. We just gave you a lot of information. Let's review the key takeaways and go over the resources available to you. This module answered the following guiding questions about traffic data collection. Why should you count data? Consider the project's goals, identify performance measures, and determine data needs. When should you count data? You should aim for traffic counts to reflect normal weekday and peak traffic conditions. What count data should you collect? Follow the guidelines for the various types of traffic data collection methods. Resources for collecting data include sources for the type of data, traffic volumes, safety, signals, speed and travel time, roadway, transit, and incident. Resources that provide general guidance are shown on the screen. Additional information on data collection can be found in the Engineering Policy Guide 905.3.3. Time to see what you know. Question 1. What helps to inform a project's data collection needs? The correct answer is D, both B and C. B is correct because the type of data that needs to be collected is based on the goals. As stated previously, developing an understanding of the data collection needs for a project takes place during project scoping. C is correct because the MOEs to be used during the study help inform the data collection needs. It is also important that analysts coordinate with MoDOT in determining data collection needs up front. Question 2. MoDOT recommends collecting new traffic count data if the most recent available data is more than how many years old? The correct answer is B. Pre-existing count data that has been collected within the past 3 years that is reflective of present-day traffic patterns for the area is typically a good source of data to use. Age limits for the relevancy of traffic counts are context-sensitive to the regional characteristics and recent growth patterns of the area. For example, if there have been recent developments that would influence traffic volumes, then new traffic count data is likely needed. Question 3. Typical weekday traffic count data should be collected on which days? The correct answer is C. For most traffic studies, it is important for traffic counts to reflect normal weekday and/or peak hour traffic conditions. The FHWA Traffic Monitoring Guide advises that traffic counts should not be collected on Fridays, for example, since they tend to have lower morning volumes and slightly higher afternoon volumes than other weekdays. Although traffic volumes on Mondays can be fairly similar to typical weekdays, some locations influenced by rural, recreational areas can experience patterns similar to Friday. Therefore, it is recommended to avoid collecting traffic count data on Mondays and Fridays altogether and only collect data from Tuesday to Thursday. Exceptions include unique studies where special event and/or recreational trips are a concern, though even then it is advised to provide that information as a supplement to typical Tuesday to Thursday traffic data. Question 4. True or false? While the project's goals and MOEs to be collected help inform the project's data collection needs, coordination with MoDOT staff is an important step in determining data needs. The correct answer is A. Additionally, it is important that analysts coordinate with MoDOT in determining data collection needs up front. Thank you for watching this video on TIA guidance data collection. We encourage you to view the other TIA guidance videos. If you have any questions, please reach out to MoDOT Central Office Highway Safety and Traffic.